not in public setting, because I used to work at the hospital.
That's not it.
Yeah, and so this is like a different fulfill.
Oh, thanks, Dennis.
If you ever can use business consulting in general, I mean, that's one of my fees, and I do probably should have done some account.
All right.
Just make it help. Well, you know, the core of any company is a accounting, you know, that's what it says.
Is that okay, Dennis? If we,
Yeah.
because you'll need.
Of the company.
Now the other thing I've noticed, it's a widescreen and the projector does like a 4x3. But in short, if your presentation is like at least 15% of this window, then it works fine. So once it's loaded up, it's very okay. All right. We all logged in?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're waiting for a few more folks. The guy who invited you, Zen, should be coming here too. He's our PR director for Southwest College, and I think maybe a few other folks had signed up with him. Some of you I'm seeing again, so welcome back. And then we have new faces as well. So maybe, yes, ma'am.
So when I sent the RSVP, is that considered registering?
When you send him an email, it's registered. Yeah, you know, this was the first time he wanted to work with the Bel Air Business Association. So we said, let's just see what the interest is, right? And then we've been doing these workshops, but this was something that Zen wanted to try differently. So our workshops typically on Eventbrite, and they're free, just like this one. But he had set up a flyer where you would just email him, and then he would somehow validate that you're with the association. And if not, it doesn't matter. It's okay. But just it's we were supporting him. So if you emailed him, great. If you didn't email him, it's okay. As long as we have seats, you're welcome to sit.
I am associated with the college.
That's fine. Yeah, you're good. Don't worry. What we may have you do is just we'll have a sign-in sheet, and that way just give us your name, and if you're interested in us telling you about new workshops, other workshops, just give us your email, and we can put you on like a mailing list that says here's what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to share that information, that's fine. You could find our workshops on Eventbrite. So if you search for HCC opportunity workshops, they're taught by our students who have started their businesses. They are entrepreneurs, business owners themselves, but they have a skill that they want to teach, and the library allows us to have this space, and we try to upskill all of us with something. So I think the first series covered WordPress, where we went into creating your own website, and then today's topic is online marketing, and I guess Dennis can go into SEO, right, which is your forte. But then also, if the group wants to learn about social media marketing, then that's part of it as well, right? You'll be able to answer those questions as well. Quick background to this is, so my name is Ravi. I'm the Director for Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I have an office in the Missouri City campus, and kind of organizing the 5 campuses for Southwest College for any entrepreneurial activities. So my office hosts workshops for business owners with different partnerships. One with SCORE, which is a group of retired senior executives that want to help business owners with business plan writing, business taxes, and other things with business. They tend not to be free unless you're a student or you're a veteran. They tend to be $25 to $45 in range. They'll get a professional expert coming in to do those workshops, and the other types of workshops we offer are the opportunity workshops, where we keep them for free. And our goal there is you still get the good quality education, but you're also helping a student entrepreneur learn speaking skills or bettering their skills while they're sharing some technical process, they're improving their own presentations. And then also, we're helping them build awareness of their product and their services. So most of the opportunity workshops are in the digital space. We have a lot of students that go through computer science programs, and we tell them they can be entrepreneurs. We also have students that go through arts and humanities, and they're motivational speakers, so we get them to do workshops as well. So that's kind of the quick thing on workshops. The other thing we offer for the school is we have competitions, and any student or alumni of the college that have an idea, they want to pitch it, and it has a social purpose or social innovation, and it's profitable. We want to support them, build that into a company. So we offer mentoring services for students that go through this workshop, the competition, and we also give them access to the larger startup community in Houston. So those are kind of the big 80% of the services that my office provides. My office is fairly new. We are now 3 years into what we're doing, and we have some products that we're really proud of. Dennis is one of them, and Mohammed, who talked about WordPress, is another one. So, and our entrepreneurs are getting recognized for the value that they're creating for the city. They're getting awarded by different groups. So we're very proud of that, and it's growing. So our goal today is to learn about SEO and online marketing. Is that right? Mm-hmm. If I can quickly just around the room, get your name and help Dennis and I understand what business you're in. If there's a business you want to start, let us know, so that way we could try to make this more personalized to them. So if you don't mind, sir, you can start and just let us know your name, and if you are established business, let us know what it is, and if not, what would be your goal out of the workshop?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Troy Gooden. I have a small business that I do on the side, where I offer culture tours to visitors to Houston.
Okay. Culture tours, that's awesome.
Culture tours.
Yeah.
Tourism, right?
Tours that introduce people to different art communities.
Nice. Okay, what about you, ma'am?
I'm Vicki Montier. I am a social media marketing director for Magpie's Gifts, which is a gift shop, a boutique in Bel Air, and they have a location in Sugar Land and Cypress. I've done it about 5 years.
Awesome.
I'm Leah Freeman, and I locally own Bel Air Women's Fitness, so just down the street I have and I have that's a local business that I have, as well as a national speaking platform for women's self-acceptance, self-improvement. So.
Great.
My name is Sandy Cunningham. I work at GBS Insurance, so I just kind of started to get into the social media type of business related. So I'm hoping to learn some new stuff that will apply to like the insurance.
Glad you're here.
And I'm Jennifer Whitaker. I own a tutoring company that's been around for 7 years.
Tutoring?
Yeah, I'm the owner / CEO.
Oh, great.
I'm Mohammed Mani. I do web design for small businesses, and I'm here to learn new techniques for online marketing from him. He's a great guy.
First of all, thank you, Ravi, and the instructor for having us. I'm Shobna Marathi, editor for Voice of Asia.
Voice of Asia.
Yes, and I'm here to learn more on marketing.
Okay.
My name is Steve Davis with GBS Insurance Agency, and looking forward to learning some things.
I'm Bill Popram with the Bel Air Business Administration. I own the Amco Transmission Tow Car Care Center over on Jenny Road.
Which one?
Amco,
Okay.
it's the beat company. Been around about 50 years.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a big name. You haven't heard of it?
No.
I feel like
A lot of
you hadn't heard
millennials
of
have.
it.
Double A, didn't see you.
Yeah. Well, nice to meet y'all. My name is Dennis Nyaraya, and I am the founder of Hubward Media. So how I got into this was I had a small business just like y'all, and I had saved up to get to that small business so it can pay for my tuition, getting into school. And you know, right after starting the business, I discovered that it was validated. Like, customers are telling me, hey, you need to grow it bigger, get more locations, bring some locations to the Woodlands and Pearland. All of a sudden, I talked to this marketing company and I told them, hey, can you help me market my business? And when I told them that, then they agreed, but what they agreed on, they did not deliver, but they took my money, which was all of my savings. And right after that, as a student, I decided to, not to cry, of course, but to go ahead. But I was hard, so I was like, this is not gonna happen to anybody else. And since then, I took it on me to learn and help other small business owners like me not to fall in the same trap. And the ideas that I'm going to share with you is what I've used to help with some companies that I've worked with, some lawyers as well as some YMCA and other small business owners, bakeries and cupcake businesses here and there that all have used and have been proven to work. So today we are going to cover online marketing and media, online and social media marketing. And my effort today, the objective today is to dig, give me 1 second. Yeah. My objective today is to dig and into the data that will give you your social media marketing an edge, right? So what you're going to learn today is 3 significant events from the last decade, right? That will help you understand and have shaped, and that will help you understand and have shaped today's consumer behavior. Because if you don't understand the consumer behavior, then you don't really understand how you're going to market to them, how you're going to talk to them, right? So how the consumer behavior is shaping also the content development that brands are creating and marketers are using, and also I'll give you 3 ways that you can use to optimize your content search and visibility, engagement, and to create a loyal audience, right? So the objective, like I said, I want to give you an insight and tactics that I've used with business owners here in Houston, in San Antonio, with YMCA, that you can use to create a loyal audience, right? To strategically create content that not only is serving your business, but also is serving your audience. You want to educate. Technically, marketing is educating your audience, right? And when you're marketing to your audience, you want to make your audience the hero of the business. So you want to speak to them on a person to person or human to human perspective. So so what type of content does your audience want, right? What are their pain points? How are you going to find out what their pain points are? What keeps them up at night? Once you answer all of these, then bingo, you've got the content that you need to alleviate all those pain points, right? So one of the events that we have is the Occupy Wall Street movement. And this movement created a lot of pain between the housing and the financial industry, which created distrust between people, and all business sectors were affected by this, right? And because of this, now customers do not believe anything that big brands tell them, just like myself, I was a product of it, right? The big brand came to me, told me, hey, we're going to help you grow your business. I gave them my money, and guess what? I couldn't see them no more, right? Then we have to pay attention to also like social movements, Black Lives Matter, Me Too movement, the boycott, and LGBTQ movement, right? We need to focus on those there, because the lives you get from the stories you get from these are personalized stories that brands cannot replicate, right? So if you don't follow this and don't understand what customers are talking about, what are their pains, and you don't create that into your message, into your content, then customers will figure out that you don't really care, right? And also, this comes to when you want to know, okay, when you want to understand like, where do I put my brand on, because for some of these here, maybe you don't want to put your brand to show up there, or you don't want your brand to show up there, because you have to look at how is it going to affect my business. Is it going to affect my business in a positive or negative way, right? It may repel some of your audience away from you, right? So the Me Too movement, how it's shaping, you have to make sure you understand how it is shaping the consumer behavior. And these movements are simply about personal stories, and sometimes the brands can't replicate these stories. It's important to understand how the consumer distrust, right, is starting to penetrate through the market and through the content as well.
What's LGBTQ? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, what was it?
So it's basically lesbians, gays, bis, transsexuals, and then queer. That's my understanding. It's the pride movement, they call it. It's being open and
Your right to marriage, basically.
right to marriage. Okay. So it's an online social media movement. Before you could leverage it to help your business, you have to first understand what it is. So
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah, that's
know
fine.
understood.
that's a good question.
Then we have the Cambridge Analytica data breach, right? That is Zuckerberg right there when he was testifying to the Congress, right? It's shaping the way brands are able to communicate on social platforms, right? Because nowadays brands tend to overrun the social feeds of customers, right? So you go on your Facebook, and guess what? All you see is brands going over it, and some of it is fake news, right? So you need to keep that in mind as well. How brands are able to communicate on social platforms. All they know that Facebook is the granddaddy. That's all that we all know. Facebook is the granddaddy, and now all social platforms, all social networks are starting to follow suit, right? So we need to know how many users on a certain platform are there before we go to it. Let's say, what are the demographics on that social media platform we are going to? Let's say if you want to go on, what was your business again? Art tours,
Yes.
right? Art tours, right? So let's say like his platform, where would he go first? He would go first on Pinterest, right? And then Instagram, because that's where you're going to showcase, that's where you're going to get most of your demographics at, rather than running off to LinkedIn or like Twitter, right? Yeah, so first he goes to like Pinterest and then Instagram, and then from there, when you get the big audience and you understand through their comments, through what they're telling you, then you can go to LinkedIn and Instagram, just to create a professional profile where people can come and look at and study you, right?
Yeah, so, don't maximize it. That was, I mentioned, the widescreen doesn't show.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah, just, you can blow it up a little bit more, but you'll be able to.
Yeah, that's what I want. So, how do we collect that data that we were talking about, right? So, this is very similar to how Facebook is going to collect data. How does Facebook collect data from you? Facebook collects data from you with the emails that you support to them, right? So we create millions of data points, and that is downloading apps, that is opting in for PDFs, infographics that we want to get from these people, videos, Netflixes, and so on. Data is collected through technology, tracking technologies such as web cookies. I don't know how many of you have ad blocks on your website or on your computers, right? So through web cookies, they get to track you. And all of you all have websites, right?
Yes.
Do you all have Google Analytics,
Yes.
right? Do you have Google Analytics? If you have a website, it is better for you to get Google Analytics. And for those who create, if you have a web designer, ask him to please add your website to Google Analytics. Because once you add Google Analytics to your website, then you're going to understand where your customers are coming from. Then you're going to understand what your customers are clicking on, right? So this is how you collect the data. And once you see all of those touch points, then you're going to understand how, where to structure your content ad, where to put your content ad, and how to move them into a converting position. Because at the end of the day, you want those customers to convert, right? Then we have shared data. Shared data, this is the data that you share voluntarily, right? That you give to them. These are the emails you give to them, right? And this is through opt-ins, right? And also credit cards, and you know that you receive ads based on what information or what emails you give your credit owners. Then also we have the phones, and most of the phones we receive, let's say if it's an iPhone, it comes with some apps already built in, right? So technically, and also let's say you have an iPhone, it comes with built-in apps. Then you have T-Mobile, which also has its own apps, right? If you look in the notifications, it has it's asking each other to talk to each other. But as consumers, we don't get a chance to read through the notifications. We just want it to work. So technically, T-Mobile and an iPhone, or maybe Samsung, the apps are talking to each other. So as a consumer, the phone is not as valuable as the content or the data that you're creating, that you're producing on this phone, right? So they are collecting data on you, but you actually don't know, right? So that is what I mean by shared content, that you don't know that you're giving voluntarily, right? So you need to keep that in mind and know that they are also doing that. And by understanding all of this, you get to know that customers, once they learn about this, now they do not trust any company, right? Because they know they are being watched, they know there something shady is being done on the back end. So
Snaky, they're so snaky.
yeah, they're being sneaky, right? So where do you find your digital? So your digital footprint, that is going to be your paid platforms, your hub, your earned media, and your brand health, right? Your target audience is way smarter nowadays that they are not going to follow only your website, right? So when they come and land on your website, they're gonna go ahead and search and try to find your competition. They're going to try to learn about you, go to LinkedIn, right? When I started working in digital marketing as a student, most of the people came to my website first, and then they go to my LinkedIn and look at my LinkedIn, and then also call some of my the people I helped, right? Some called YMCA and some called other people that I helped for my testimonials, right? So you get to see that customers nowadays are not following the funnel that you are building. Customers are now trying to do their own research before they get to you. Why? And this is all caused by the 3 past events that I told you, which is the Me Too movement, the Occupy Wall Street, and also the Cambridge Analytica data breach, right? So paid platforms, you're supporting paid platforms. These are the platforms which you are supporting, right? Let's say you're supporting St. Jude Hospital, right? It says something to the consumer who you are, right? If you're a political person, if you're working with if you're a business owner and you're working on your LinkedIn profile, or you get somebody to help you build your LinkedIn profile, maybe from LinkedIn, sometimes they'll ask you not to include like religion or some political stuff in your profile. Why? Because your audience, your customers, may be repelled off once they see what you're interested in. So you need to think about how is that going to affect my brand, right? Then the hub that is your website, right? That is your blogs, that is going to be your microsites that you create. So this is all an overarch that you create so that when people come, or when your audience comes to you, or they search for your name, they don't only see your website, they see all of these things which they can all go through, and they all interact with each other. So the customer gets to learn more about you, gets to understand you, and also gets to see that you're always creating content. You don't have only one content. So they see that you're up to date and your content is always evergreen, right? Then you have the earned media. The earned media, this is when somebody is talking about you, right? Let's say he recommends Mohammed, right? He recommends Mohammed about his website design, that hey, this guy built my website and it's working good. I've gotten customers from me and stuff like that, and he keeps that relationship with him. So when Mohammed's audience gets to see that he was recommended by a local trusted business owner, then guess what? And people are going to trust that more than what Mohammed tells them, right? So the earned media is very, very, very important for anybody. And earned media could also be your comments that you get on your social platforms, right? I've known some brands who actually just have a landing page and their website is not really working, right? They just put like a video and that's it, and they do it on purpose, intentional, just to see how their social media is going to convert, right? I've done that on my site too, right? When you have different sites, you get to test and see what is working, what is not working, and that's how we find out all of this here. Then your brand health, that covers how many times you're producing content. So some people produce content just for content's sake, but you want to produce content that content is actually speaking to your customers, not just to put it out there. You want strategic content, right? Which is structured to educate the customer. Again, marketing, the way I understand it, is to educate the customer, to make them understand, to make an educated decision, right? They may not buy from you, but they may know you as somebody they can come to in the industry to learn something from, right?
I just want to mention or add something.
Yeah.
So for example, with adding content or blogging, what's happened nowadays, like people are blogging just for SEO. They hear SEO is good for blogging is good for SEO. But at the same time, like if the content is not valuable, I mean it might help with the SEO, but it's not gonna help that much with to building trust. For example, let's say if you're in the real estate industry, instead of writing blog post about homes in Houston, like using all these keywords, buying homes, selling homes, you can use something like how to find out if the school district is good or bad. How to, like, some valuable information. I think that will bring a lot of potential clients instead of just like how to.
That'd be a question for you.
No, you're right.
What if that blog is not integrated or embedded in your website? Does that still help with SEO?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So now, the way you do that, I understand what you're saying. Let's say she blogs about you, right? On her blog. So what she has to do is link back to your site. And her linking back to your site, that is a signal in Google's eyes that gives you credibility. See what I'm saying?
So like as in build a link that is the link to your site, basically.
Yeah, so the anchor text could be your keyword, right? So what is your site for? Let's say, I understand his is web design, right? So she would be blogging something about web design. So in the word web design, she hyperlinks his site. So in Google's eyes, that is a signal for him, and it gives him credit. It gives him credibility that other people are talking about, right? Which is the earned media you get.
So what about if the blog has your company name in it as part of the title?
Yeah. So now the only thing that you have to be careful about, that's not a problem. But the only thing you have to be careful about, if it's like porn companies talking about you, yeah, those you don't want to. But if it's a legit business, right, with verified profiles, right, talking about you, then yes, you want that. If it's even a bigger brand, yes, you want that, right? I always tell some of my clients, look at it like if it's a girl, if you're dating a girl. I'm sorry, I'm using this example. But I always tell my friends, think about it like if it's a girl, 3 guys are trying to date a girl. A girl comes, one guy comes and his hair is all messy and his clothes are not so clean and stuff like that. And then one guy also comes, but he's still living with his parents, right? And then another guy comes and he lives by himself. He has a nice car and stuff like that. Who do you think the girl is gonna go with, right? The independent guy, right? That's the example I give them. So if you have a trusted business, right, with verified information, and you can see that it's a big established business, even if the title is in the website, it doesn't matter. What matters is it's linking back to you. You're getting the earned media, right? You're getting the credibility, and it's signaling that even trusted businesses, well-established businesses, acknowledge you in your space.
Google called backlink, something like that, right?
Huh?
Google, like it's called backlink.
Yeah, it's
something
called
like that.
backlink.
So more backlinks you have, it's better.
Yeah.
How do you make a backlink? Like there's somehow
That's a hyperlink.
No. I mean like more work, like if you publish or blog something on another website and put your link at the end, like put your name and whatever
Yeah.
Jennifer from
Yeah.
ACC tutoring.
I already do that. I
Is
thought
it
you
you?
said backlinks, which is like what they do for SEO. Like when I had an SEO guy, he would do backlinks to my competition that had higher ranking, my direct and indirect competition.
And that hurt your business?
It's part of the SEO.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, because what he wanted to do is what he was technically doing was to create, the site, your site to be viewed in Google's eyes, that a lot of people who have higher ranks already are also talking about you. Like big people in your space are talking about you, right? It's just like CNN, let's say you're a new news reporter, right? And you have CNN, ABC, Fox, they're all pointing to you, right? So that means with CNN, and let's say this is happening all the time, then in Google's eyes, even if you're Houston based, in Google's eyes, it's going to mean that this person is important in news, right? His news is credible. You know what I'm saying? So it depends with what sources are pointing to you, and if it's a credible source that is well established, then that gives you more credit. So once you focus on these individual points, that actually they are actually consuming all these sorry, that threw me off. Actually consuming to see if you provide value in your content, and if you focus on these touch points, it will be easy for your target audience to influence your content, right?
So Dennis, I'd like to ask you a question. So what does that mean for the local business that's here? For example, Emco, right? He mentioned he's got a local mechanic shop. So when you say create content and link back to your website, so what are you saying? That someone has to talk about him, or he has to get someone to talk about him? Or does he create content that people find useful so that he gets business out of it because they see him as trusted? I mean, what content can you create? You could create a video of a car coming in with a flat tire or a signal, and the video says, like, are you getting this signal? This is how we solve it. You can do it yourself if it's safe to, or bring it to us, right? We're located here. Is that content or not?
Yeah, that's content.
And then if a news article writes about you and says, local Emco has helped 300 customers this month, right? Or has been established for 5 years. 500 years would be really terrible. It would be really long time.
A lot of
5 years.
Facebook.
But except you would want that story online.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So bring it to local for us to understand what does it mean to create content, backlinks for our businesses.
Okay. So Emco, I think I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, it's a big brand.
Yeah.
Take it to Emco.
Is it Emco or Maco?
It is-
Maco is the painting one, right?
Yes, that's a.
Ah.
That was a spin-off.
So he's a
Trying to
franchisee.
understand- Yeah, I'm trying to understand his business. I
Like
don't see the
Coca-Cola.
picture in my head.
They're
But
they're famous for the BB commercials. They would say
Oh.
double A, and then they'd go, then you hear the
Oh,
pharmacy,
MCO,
okay, okay.
yeah.
and then MCL.
Oh, okay. So we had a customer in Dallas, right? And he had a workshop too, right? And for us to help, we've been working with them for like, SEO takes like 6 months. Some people tell you it's gonna take a month, but that is not legit. For people who have really done SEO, I think she has done, she can tell you it will take at least 6 months for you to see really good results. But once you get the results, they stick, right? If you get like on the first position, you stay there for the longest you can, right? But for some people, they want something instant, which always, as I always tell my customers, there's always going to be the season to plant the seed and then the season to harvest, right? So we had a customer who was working in the car shop, and we had been working with them for a while. So what we had to do, she helped somebody with their car and they couldn't pay, but let them get back to work, and they would come back and pay slowly by slowly and get their paycheck. And we thought that was a very nice story, and this was a single mom, right? But she had to take kids to school, she had to go to work at the same time. But the shopkeeper, the shop owner did not hold her car, right? She let her life keep going. And we thought that was a story to tell, right? So we contacted some of our influencers in the PR industry. They went ahead in Dallas and sent out that info. Then next thing you know, all these people were driving from different places in Dallas to come and work with this shop owner. And guess what? His business went up like that. So I understand what you're saying with his kind of business. When you have like those kind of stories like that from those are user-generated stories, right? That from other people you help, right? You use those stories, turn them into content, and that is the content that your audience wants to hear, right? How you're helping them, how you're benefiting the community, right? You're not just in it for the profit, for the money. You're in it to actually help people live a better life, like we helped that Dallas lady with the business owner. Now this is a typical marketing funnel that we all go through. There's the awareness phase, there's going to be the interest phase, the evaluation, the commitment, then the sell, and then the repeat. So with the awareness phase, that is where you're going to create the content, the inbound marketing, and then the referrals, and also SEO. That's where you're going to get the SEO, search engine marketing, social media, and the ebooks. And these are all incentives that you create in the awareness phase for people to opt in and give you their emails, right? Or for people to educate people about who you are, or for people to get to know about your brand, right? And once the people get to know more about you, then they go into the interest phase. So now they are interested. So now you need to keep educating them so that you can get them to the evaluation phase, right? So they get to evaluate your business, right? Now they're getting more emotional into it, like, well, should I really do business with this guy or not, right? That's when you create classes, that's when you create workshops like this to make it a one-on-one, not anymore online, everybody on the other side of the computer, right? So now you bring it to where it can be a more face-to-face kind of thing. And then the commitment, that's when you can give them like a 7-day period to try it out and see if they like it or they can do it. And from that, then you drop them into the sale. And then later, once they like it, and if they buy, then they're going to turn into happy and loyal customers, and later evangelists, right? So we all know the marketing funnel. Customers nowadays, though, they do not follow this funnel no more. Like I said, because of the 3 past events, customers are not going to follow this funnel anymore. Now, what they do, they go around this funnel. They come to the awareness phase, and next thing you know, they go to your competitor to see if they're going to get a better price, right? So they also come to this, and then they could also go to your Facebook. They could also search for you if you're on LinkedIn, right? And then they try to understand, is this a legit business, because they've been scammed before, because of this distrust that has been created in the past, where they had to live on the streets with their families, right? When the houses were gone and financial economies were melted down. So now they have to be cautious of every step that they do. So now they do their research, which makes it a little bit harder for you nowadays. So that means for brands, we have to create a robust hub, right? When I mean by a robust hub, that means you have to create a website, then you have to create verified accounts, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You have to create all of these microsites, different blogs. You have to create a hub, to create different touch points that they can all go through and do as they are doing their research. And everywhere they go, they get to see you, right? Then there was a study made where 87% of US CMOs nowadays believe that brand initiatives need to be more flexible than they used to be in the past, right? So how
So I'm gonna ask you, Dennis, to spell out CMO for all of us.
okay, Chief Marketing Officers,
Thank you.
yeah, to how flexible are the organization in regards to budget allocations, who they are working with, the teams, right? And how are you responding in regards to how are you responding to the comments? Who responds to the comments and stuff like that? In marketing, like in my company, we have everybody has their own role, right? So if something doesn't work out, then we know who is messing up. But before it was chaos, because everybody would just do whatever they wanted, so we didn't hold anybody accountable to something. So it wasn't as flexible, but it doesn't mean that we don't know how to do everything. We know how to do everything, but to make it easier where we can ask somebody what happened, we allocate everybody with the role, and that has helped us to work effectively and efficiently. So nowadays you have to be very flexible. You may change it now and then, right? The roles, but at least you have to be very flexible with your budget allocation, with the teams in regards of the decision making, how fast do you make decisions. The good thing between small business owners and big corporations is that with small business owners, you make a decision just like that, whereas for big corporations, it has to go through different phases for it to be approved. So if you have an idea and a big corporation has an idea, it is for a small business owner, it's faster for you to implement that idea, whereas for big corporations, they have to go through different phases for it to be approved. So by the time they get it approved, you're already up and running, right? And then also the comments on your social engagements, you need to keep that in mind.
How do people run a business and spend time doing Facebook and blogs and, you know, I can't see it.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody else do it for you.
Right. Exactly. You're right. So that is where it comes to you being flexible in regards of your budget allocations, your team. Somebody in your team has to be the one doing your social, not the business.
You get a million people coming at you a week trying to sell you this kind of service.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I have no clue how to vet them. I mean, it's all, you know, throwing darts in the dark.
Kinda like what happened to you.
Yeah, kind of like what happened to me, and I do it.
So, I mean, I get it that you have to have a presence there, but.
So like we do hire, sometimes we do hire, that when we get overwhelmed with a lot of work, like let's say web design, most of the time it's graphic, we get overwhelmed with a lot of it, and when it comes a lot, so what do? You need to partner with somebody to help you, right? So sometimes we hire people who are good at that.
That's what the comment is. So, like how he got kind of gypped by that marketing company, your question. So I've gone through that same thing repetitively with different supposedly digital marketing companies. One being Yellow Pages, that's got a big
That
name.
Yelp? Somebody Yelp?
No, Yellow Pages.
Okay.
Like, remember back in the days?
Yeah.
They have an electronic version of it now. And, but their company does digital marketing and others outside of just putting it in the pages. But they're one of the big names that's known to different people off. But also a lot of small names, and that's why they don't get to be big businesses. So, since you have to pay them upfront and then they do it, assuming they will, it's actually easier to not get ripped off by hiring somebody to work for you directly as an actual employee or contractor, not an outside company. And then you can pay them, what, a week or whatever period after they've done it. We don't even know Jim.
I was gonna say, I started 5 years ago, and I didn't even have a Facebook page 5 years ago. I know a lot of young kids did, I had to learn a lot of it, but my suggestion is start on a platform you're comfortable with and build it, and then add another, and then add another, and add another. It's hard to do all of it, like, I can't even do all of them at once. I told my boss, I can't even do Twitter right now. I'm just so overwhelmed by Instagram, Facebook, and our website and blogging that I can't add one more thing to that. It's a lot. And answering all the questions that come in, the comments and all the comments for your website.
Yeah.
If you have a phone number or an email, you gotta answer all that,
Right.
cause you gotta engage with people.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. So now, from the comments that you get, right, that was one of my suggestions I was going to use. So from the comments, like you say, you get from these emails, phone calls, if you track all of that down, you can use that as the content that you can write in your blog, right, in the videos you create, right? Let's say, for example, HTC, people are asking, okay, when I come for orientation, what do I expect, or something like that, right? And if you keep getting, on Twitter, you're getting all of these comments coming, reoccurring, you get to see the reoccurring keywords and themes that are coming through. So you use that to create content. And once you create this content, now you're filling the gaps, because the reason why they're asking these questions is because there is a gap, right? So you're using that content, they're feeding you back to fill these gaps, right? And next thing, the customers see you as you're talking to them, right? You understand where they're coming from, you're speaking their language. That's what they want.
So then,
Did your question be answered?
He's trying to figure out how to hire somebody, cause you can't do it all.
So what we do is we get to see their portfolio and what they work.
Exactly.
We've been there, I know exactly what you're
Is
saying.
that really what you're trying to think about right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't wanna sound like I'm marketing, but the HCC students and graduates are actually some of the hardest and best ones that have brought actual legitimate leads and high quality ones. They have a digital marketing program, and between that and their developer program, I found some of the best. And the in-college students have typically no experience, they're,
Hungry.
yes, like, so it's rather cheap, especially if you get them while they're still students, or that's something like 13 an hour is good money to them. But especially if you give them the possibility of,
I'll do one better and then say if they establish the business, there is some credibility to what they've done. So working with that may actually be in your favor, but at the same time, I wanted you to try to define content. You said content a lot of times. What you just said here is what people ask you. Now that's your frequently asked question list, isn't it? What you get the bug list of the customers. Where are you guys located? What time are you? What this? And you basically turn that into information. Like on the first series, we could create different pages on our website. So when we were learning WordPress, you had an about us, you had a home page, you had a contact us service page, or maybe you can have an FAQ that's actually treated as a blog, and it's answering the questions people call you for. So what's your oil change cost? Well, I know you have it in services, but you could actually write it out in a paragraph explaining what the oil service includes. So now you can get you know, you can get your questions answered, and in his world, it's called content, right? In your world, you know, what we're used to is, man, it's the frequently asked questions. I mean, stuff that bugs my customers, and I have to take the call, but how could you use that to generate a lead? Because anyone in the neighborhood searching for oil change, well, all of a sudden, you explaining what your oil change service has brings you in front of them on Google or Facebook, because a friend of a friend happens to have been your customer. But unless you are out there posting these things or making this content available, it is, you know, and the longer you wait, the harder, you know, you get buried under all this other content, right? There's somebody else writing about oil changes, you know, but they don't have the physical location that you have, but they do have more page rank than you because they've been there longer. Although, you know, so it's learning that. So hire the student entrepreneur.
Relevance, yeah, that's right.
There you go. But
We position ourselves in the pay-per-click campaigns very successfully.
You know, it's one of those costs as far as your rate of return.
What is its cost?
No, that's one of the most costly methods.
Oh, yeah, it's a killer. Yeah.
I think you should go,
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, like what he was
too
telling you.
competitive.
Yeah, it is very competitive.
It's
because-
insane. What's cost.
Yeah, because a lot of people are trying to bait on that, right? And it's only like what, 3 spaces that a lot of people need to show on, so depending on who has the most budget will be able to show up.
Like an auction.
Yeah, it's like an auction.
It pulls in, you know, it's based on your quality score. Your quality score is a combination of your SEO, you know, the presences, and what you want to get. Yeah, it's a difficult formula.
Yeah, when you go with that, the best way to go for is, that I would recommend is go for organic, right? Organic, I think he can tell you one of his stories. He's now there. He's done web design, right? He's going for that keyword, and he has been getting phone calls from all over the place, right? But not until he got on the first page.
Right.
But for some people, they look at it like, hey, I'm paying a lot of money, right? And I don't see the results. But if you're patient enough, right, the results will come and they'll overwhelm you, right?
Well, these contractors tell you it takes 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
You look up 2.5 years later, you're still in the same spot.
No.
Well, that's a little different.
Well, that doesn't matter if they can actually do the job, if they actually do it, and if they do it right or not.
The best way is like there are some tracking tools that they should, like, first question you ask them is like, do you have any tracking tools or not Google Analytics, like to show me where I was in the last week and where I am and where I was 3 months ago. So always there are some tools like
Yes.
Goron, Tracker, or things like that to show you like where you are exactly. So just ask them about these things, and also like back to the content and organic results. It just reminds me about so what's happened. Content is not just like blogging or videos, it's also as well. So one time I was helping a doctor with his website, and he hired a video company or like a company to do like they did a very professional video, and that video like he paid them $4,000 or $5,000 for one video, and then and he uploaded this video to YouTube, and then he did another video. Actually, he did it with my phone, and that video, like, he was just talking in front of the camera about like a procedure and how he was giving an information, valuable information. Yesterday I was looking at the video, like that video like has like the one with the phone, it has 3,000 views, and the one he used a professional company, it just have like 50 or 60 views. So always people search for information, not for commercial. It's always better to provide valuable information. And now what's happening is, in addition to SEO, there's something called voice
Voice search.
voice search optimization or something like
Voice
that.
search?
Voice search of
Voice search
That's what the
optimization.
word is called.
So what's happened, people nowadays, they don't type in Google and they said, people used to type, like until now, what is the best dentist in Houston? But nowadays, they will say, okay Siri, what's the best dentist in Houston? So you always, here's a different strategy, like when you write content with the voice search optimization, you have to write the content and make your content look like answering questions. So people with the voice search, they search for a question. They don't say, Houston car body shop, whatever. They say, what is the best, where I can find. Always like they're using Siri, Google, Alexa, or all these home devices. So it's always like to consider valuable information more than just like content, or hiring professional people to make content.
Voice search optimization.
So what it's doing is
That's the
it's
next
reading,
thing.
it's basically adding all those questions over here.
Yeah.
And if you can answer that question over here with a video or with content, either way, it matches them up.
That's like those things people have in their house that they talk to,
Yeah.
echoes and.
Since we are on the matter of content, I'd like to know if you're gonna touch upon the legal aspects of it and how to use and, what to run. Because I'm in the media, definitely that's very important for me.
My experience with these.
May I recommend all of us, let Dennis finish the next few slides, and then we will allow time for Q&A, and also for you to network with each other. But I know there's a few more things that are important for us to know.
So part of what I wanted to show you was about what he was saying, like you ask a question and almost Google wants to answer everything for you, right? So the reason to why is because Google cares about the user. They don't care okay, let's try to understand what Google is. Google is the site that hosts your site, right? So technically, you put your site on Google, and then people come to Google to read about your site. That's what Google is. But Google doesn't care about your site. They care about what are you educating their user. Their user comes to Google with a pain, right? So they want Google to be the place which alleviates their pain. That's what I'm saying. So when you're creating that content, you need to understand, like Ravi said, you're educating me about oil change, right? You can tell me what types of oil change, and then the prices to those oil change, and how it's going to benefit my car. One blog, right? And in this blog, you can hyperlink to different pages. So when a customer maybe wants to learn more about something, then they go to that page, right? But depending on how you structure that content, that's how Google is going to bring you to the front. Because a lot of people find your content more valuable. Now, when I come to your page and I read the first 2 sentences and I don't understand what your site is about, I bounce back, right? I go back and look for another site that is giving me the information that I need. And to Google, that's a signal that your site is not valuable, that your site is not answering my questions, is not alleviating my pain. And in Google's eyes, it cares more to their users, to the people who come to their site, than you, right? So if you look at this right here, I just typed in content because she mentioned it. And look, Google is trying to answer all these questions for me, right? So when you...
Can you minimize so we can redo it?
Yeah. Or just move the window.
Yeah, move it over. There you go.
And Google is trying to answer all of these questions for me, right? And if you click on these questions, it's somebody else's site. See that, right? But when you think about the voice search that he was talking about, right? The voice search that he was talking about, all of these Echo, Siri, all of these are built with an integration to Google, because Google is the biggest, right? So they're all integrated to Google. Maybe Bing, Microsoft has their own, which is Bing, right? And now Facebook is coming up with their own as well, right? But the content that you create is what they use to answer on that now. It depends with how you create your content, but for the voice search, the most that most of those gadgets have been able to read is if it's built in HTML, right? So you need to make sure your content is also built in HTML, so that way it's easier for these gadgets to be able to read it when somebody asks them a question, right? So I'll go back to my presentation. And this was the funnel that I wanted to show you in real life. The customer walks into a store, they look at the product, they grab the item, put it in their cart, and then the customer walks out and checks out, and the clerk checks them out, right? And the sale is complete. And then on e-commerce, which is online, the customer visits the website, customer views the product pages, reads the description, right? They add it to the cart. Now, for most customers nowadays, they don't go straight up and purchase. Nowadays, they stop right here, then they go back and try to find a better price maybe on eBay, if they can find it somewhere cheaper, or if they can find it something maybe even better, right? And if they can't find anything, maybe they could come back to you, right? And then if they get from the cart, they can check out, and then the sale is done, right? You think about it in a way of going to Amazon, right? When you go to Amazon, you're going to look for a product, right? That is right there. You're visiting Amazon website. You look at the product. You read about the product. You browse through some product right there, right? You might see a product, put it in the cart, and then go back to see if there is somebody else with a better deal. And then if you find somebody, you ignore the one in the cart and just go ahead with the one you just found, right? So now we come to building your digital brand. So for you to build your digital brand, I believe that your digital brand is a puzzle comprised of SEO, social media, and content marketing. These are digital media tactics that have been proven, right, effective to work. Thinking of these digital tactics in a vacuum, that would be a mistake, right? You would be missing a point, because nowadays, like we say, based on the past events, you cannot focus on only one just SEO or just social media. Now you have to keep all of these in mind when you're creating your brand, because they could come here and maybe find you on the first page, or they could find you on your Facebook, but then go back to look at your page, right? So you need to have multiple touch points. They may read your article from somewhere, maybe you were a guest blogger on somebody else's blog, right? Then they go to your website and then come to your Facebook or your LinkedIn, right? And then make a decision after that. So you need to create multiple touch points, right? Now, you do this to amplify the content through social media, the emails, the content marketing that you're creating. And if you look at your overarching brand, considering all these digital marketing tactics, you are essentially going to win at the end of the day, since your audience cannot follow you only in one channel. They follow you in different media, right? So customer behavior boils down to distrust. Consumers have with large brands, organizations caused by three events. Therefore, brands need to position themselves more human-like and create human voice that speaks to each and every other audience, right? So that you create that human to human perspective.
Dennis, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a brand name, let's say, let's pick somebody else. Somebody give me a brand name of a business.
Quick copy.
Quick Copy. So, I have a brand name called Quick Copy. Is it super important for me to make sure that brand name Quick Copy, if anyone searches for it, that I show up number one? Or is there keywords around Quick Copy that are important? For example, Quick Copy may be offering copier services, fax services, I don't know, what is copier? Packaging and mailing services. So do I create keywords that are my brand name, which kind of defeats the purpose? If they already know me, why do I need to pay for that?
Yeah.
But if they don't know me, how can they find me? So
Right.
can you make a comment on my brand name and the business keywords of my core service?
Yes. So through creating that content, like for example SEO, you get to know what your customers are trying to find you, how they trying to find you. So in Quick Copy, if you go in Quick Copy, if you have Google Keyword Planner, right, you could be able to find it. But also, if you come to Google and so what was Quick Copy? How do you spell it?
It's KWIK, and then KOP.
All right, that right there, right? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's number one for his keyword, right? For his brand.
Is that you?
No, is it, that's the one in Bel Air?
Yeah. So if somebody knew his name, he's already number one.
Yeah. So he's
So
already number
that's
one.
good.
That is if somebody already knows your brand.
So otherwise you put copy services near me.
There you go.
So
Because he could show up number one there,
yeah. So if you put copy services.
That's a real question.
right? People who know you, you shouldn't have to pay for that, right? Referral, or the people who don't know you, that's what advertising is about.
Yeah. So now, this right here is your keyword. Copy services Houston, because you're local. If you add Houston, that is what you need to go for. Because now you're already number one for your name brand, Quick Copy, right? So now you want to search for this here because that is what the client, like she just said, right? She might not be a client, but that's what she came up with. So that's what came in her head, right? So if she's driving, she's just gonna say on her phone, right? Quick Copy services near me, and then Google will pull up whatever is ranking as number one. So this is what you need to go ranking for, not what you're thinking about, but what your customers are looking for. That's what you need, right? Those are the user-generated keywords that you need to be looking for. Yeah. And you can find that from a tool that is provided for free by Google. It's called Google Keyword Planner. You have a Google account, you go in Google Keyword Planner, and Google will give you all these keywords that you can go and rank for and add to your content and write about. And those keywords is what you will use to build good content. Now, the other tools that I'll give you guys that you can also use to create kind of like subtitles for your content is called
Talking about taglines.
yeah, like taglines, anchor
Anchor tags.
tags, yeah.
Yeah.
So, copy service.
What was the
Just say
last
copy,
example?
say copy services Bel Air, just to keep it even more local.
Very close, search.
Pellaire.
Not a robot.
I hate those things.
Take the picture with a bus in it.
So right here, this
Can you move it over?
Sometimes I wonder if those IT tests.
Do what?
Sometimes I wonder if they're IT tests.
Not fail.
so
Storefront.
so it says printing Houston. That's one of the keywords you can go for. That's what people
Oh,
do.
same day printing, see, didn't even think about those things.
Yeah, same day printing Houston. That's one of it. That's a good keyword right there.
Yeah.
What's
Same
that
day
site?
flyer printing. Say it
Which
again.
website is that? I can't read it.
LSI
Graph.
graph.
LS,
It looks like it says something else on the URL though.
it's,
It's analysis, but just go to LSI graph.
yeah, LSI,
What
so,
I'm sorry?
L for Larry,
LSI.
S for Sam, I for Indigo, graph.
Yeah.
Black Eagles.
All I did
.com.
was type it in Google.
Kind of a free tool to help you,
Yeah, that's a free tool. When you're creating content, right? When you're creating content, you can add this. You can add this to your content, to your blogs and stuff like that. These are keywords.
Emails as well?
no, I think it's for keywords only.
Email is more personal, right? So because you
No, but does it go towards your SEO when you send an email? No?
no
Only for your website?
for your website, yes, for
So-
your
so it
website,
doesn't-
your blogs, your videos.
So it doesn't hurt to include your website link in your email signature so that the customer that wants to, who's reading your email can quickly go to your link or call you.
Right.
And if it gets forwarded to 30 other people, those other 30 people could also find your link. So it doesn't hurt for having a good signature, but you don't want to, that's not a SEO strategy for generating new leads to your business.
Yeah.
But it could be, but it's actually a brand strategy, right? You want to have your branding on every email, you have a signature.
So to optimize I have 3 suggestions to optimize your content, right? Use data to create content, and you showcase your personality, and then you improve your brand secrets. The data that the audience is giving you, right, through your comments, right, through calling you, like you say, all of this is how you need to kind of like track it and try to use that and see how can I write a blog with this, how can I use this to write a structured article that will give value to my audience, right? So the user generated content, not their profile data, right? Showcasing their problems, their pains, what's keeping them at night, right? Don't create content for content's sake. Look at the emails, right? They're sending you. What are they talking about? What are they asking for, right? The comments made on their social media. Create structured content and measure it. Measuring it, that is, when you send out a new blog, right? Add a cookie to it, a web analytic cookie to it, to see how many people are visiting the site, how long are they staying on the site. The longer they stay on the site, that means they are reading the site, they are consuming the content.
How do you find that?
Google Analytics.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Then as you keep reading this content that they're sending you, you're going to as you keep reading through it, you're going to see reoccurring keywords, and you'll see questions that keep coming back, right? And also the themes that are coming in, and create content around that to fill those gaps, right? then showcase your personality. So I believe the window to the soul of your brand is, this is the window to the soul of your brand, right? It's like showing, it's like a reality show kind of, right? When you watch a reality show, there's always something going on, somebody creating a mess, somebody a little wild, right? So this, because of this, you remember that show, right? So it's the same thing with your brand, right? Be transparent, mention your faults, not only your positive attributes, because they want to, because they don't want, before they used to all, the 3 events before, they only used to see, you used to only present the good positive attributes about you. But now, if you don't mention your faults, people don't get to see you as a credible person, because they want to relate to you as a human person, as a person who is human, who makes mistakes as well, right? So if you have faults in your process, faults in your products, in your services, mention it, right? It may not be often, but at least if they get to see it. I've seen some business owners who get like 1 bad review on their Google My Business, and guess what? They're fighting to get it off. And I'm like, don't get it off. Just answer it. Address it from right there, and it creates more connection with your audience when they read it and they see, oh, he doesn't have a 5, he has a 4.5, but he also answered this review right here, and they read the answer, and maybe sometimes they may figure out that the customer misunderstood you. See what I'm saying? So be transparent. Don't try to hide everything and take everything that makes you look bad off. Rather, try to address it and make yourself look more human. Right? And this was all, the distrust was all caused by the past events that we had, right? I wonder how many of y'all have watched The Walking Dead. Yeah, all of y'all, yeah. So technically, The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead
with zombies, right?
Yeah, it's the
When
zombie.
you hit them in the head, and it kills them.
Right.
That's great stuff.
Yeah. So that's, to me nowadays, I look at brands as that's what I call the brand apocalypse, right? Nowadays the brands are chasing customers, and customers are trying to run away to find a safe home. You go on your Facebook nowadays, and all you see is these brands advertising, and you cannot get to see like actually what your people, your close friends are talking about, right? And of recent, a Facebook engineer mentioned that the communities, like their people, or the Facebook people, are saying they're missing their people. They have it somewhere, right?
You heard of Nextdoor?
Yes. I use it.
Yeah, they say the Facebook engineer said we have heard from our community, and the community is missing updates from friends that they care about, not brands that they care about, friends that they care about, right? And why is this? It's because brands are overrunning their feeds, right? So try to be friendly at least, right? Create more personalized content, and then improve your brand signals. What is a brand signal? These are factors that Google uses to rank your content. And when like I say, when people mention or comment on your content, they like your content, they share your content. These are all signals that Google gets to see. When people come to your website and they bounce off of your website, they don't spend even a minute, not even 30 seconds on your website. After reading a single sentence or two, Google gets to realize that your content is not valuable. And even if you're on the first page, you may find yourself on the second page, within a day or two, right? Why? Because a lot of people come and they don't spend enough time on your site, meaning your site is not valuable to Google's users, right? Now, we have to also keep in mind that we have to create verified profiles. Now, why are we creating verified profiles? This means, this is important because a lot of people have used fake news on Google, on Facebook, on Twitter, and now social networks, Twitter is trying to see to vet people's profiles, people's content that is on their platforms, on their networks, as well as people who create fake accounts on these social networks. They're trying to vet that and get that off of there, because that is what is causing the distrust between brands, right? Between and regular people and their audience. You create a fake account, and then you spread all this fake news because of the internet. It spreads really fast, but it's actually not real. And now they're trying to fight that, right?
So Dennis, there was so not so much news, but reviews, right?
Yeah.
The competitors paying companies to help them rank better.
Yeah.
And these companies create fake accounts to rank competitors lower, so that, you know, in that
We
neighborhood.
get that a lot.
So
We get all the
that's,
time.
so it's connected to fake news,
They
right?
attack
Fake
your
accounts.
websites.
Exactly. So that tactic is now, you know, really banned from lot of the Yelps and the
Yelps, yes.
you know, the Nextdoors and the others. But because of that, you know, you can't really trust all the reviews either, right? Because you know, you don't know if it was a genuine person that had that experience, or if they were just trying to make the next door customer look better.
Right.
So fake news is also related to fake reviews and
Fake
fake
reviews,
content.
yes. So that's why most people look for verified, because of all that.
Mhm.
That's why people are looking for verified profiles.
Who's looking for them?
Your
Your
customer.
audience, your customers.
How do they go on a website or a Google Maps? Make it simple for me.
Right.
And there's John Smith, and gives you a 1 star. Our response says, sorry, you don't exist, you're not in our database. Now, if you're a reader, how do you verify John Smith has really got 1 review?
Sometimes for most of mine, they say, let me try and pull it up.
And while he's doing that, I'll add, you know, when you connect with your friends on Facebook or Twitter, if your friend, what these companies will do is this will say this was recommended or visited by your friend. You're more likely to trust a person that you know exists than a John Star, whatever you said, you know, him.
Yeah.
Because
But did they recommend it?
if your friend did recommend it, then obviously
On
you're-
Facebook, if it says that you believe, are we to believe
So if you're
that my friend did recommend that to me?
So because Facebook, if you, once you log into Facebook, you're logged in, right? So now you go to a website, if that website has enabled a Facebook widget, you know, which shows that this is how many people like the service, Facebook will prioritize your friends, and they'll say, Mary Smith and 4,000 people like this. But they'll say Mary Smith because Mary Smith is your friend. So one way they're trying to help is to show people you know over other people's reviews. So that 1 star will show up, you know, as the most recent review, but if any one of your friends on Google or Google Plus, or you know, that's in your mailing in your circle that Google calls, then it will show that person's review first.
It says most relevant.
No, not necessarily relevant. It is the relevancy is there too, but by default now they're trying to show your friends' reviews first, before they show others. Now, all reviews are available, so you should respond to them, even if it's a 1-star, fake or not, as a business. But what I'm saying is that's one way the big companies are tackling this is by showing you reviews of people that are connected to you, whether it's in your circle, your friends list, or a follower on Twitter, right? The people that you accepted or accounts that you've accepted that you trust. So I'm just
It's a verifiable source.
yeah.
Having
So that's
open-
their technique. As a business owner, what that means is you probably want to utilize those Facebook, Twitter widgets and connect them to your website. So then if someone's on your website, it will say that, you know, X number of people like this, but it'll say the name of the person that they're connected to also likes it. If you have a friend, if they have a friend that has liked your service. So it's all automatic technique. I know it's a lot of limbo, but it's a technique that the big, you know, tech four, like the Googles, the Facebooks, the Twitters are using to help you get rid of fake news, right? Because and they're deleting fake accounts. So that's another technique they're doing.
That's
anyway.
great news.
Yeah, that's great news, right?
Yeah,
There's a
and
thing in this country called libels.
yeah, talking about deleting fake accounts, that's what I was just looking up to show you before they
Somebody's culpable.
used to show like verified account on Google Maps, but now they don't show it no more. So because I guess they're trying to delete fake accounts. Like I was trying to answer your question, but it's not there no more.
Well, I had a
Because they're
question-
trying to work on that.
I had a question for Bill. Are there widgets that do that same kind of thing on, for search engines or other places that you could get recommendations or reviews?
Yeah. Are you on WordPress?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go in WordPress
Mhm.
and where you get
Plugins.
plugins, right? There are some widgets that you can get there. I can't remember them off of my
Do you
head.
remember what search I should do in there? What the keywords?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
can't remember. off
In
of
fact,
my
we
head.
went over on the first series, we kind of went over widgets and talked about how you would search widgets to help. But yeah, let's save that for Q&A. Let's continue on. Like, just heads up on time, we're at 12:30 or 40. We may just jump into Q&A.
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to leave with you guys. It's now more than ever before that content experience that is create a personalized a personality for your brand and experience for your audience when consuming your content, and you will end up with a loyal audience, right? So create strategic content, right? What I mean strategic is create content, okay, like me when I create content for my websites, right? I create content for not just for my customers, but also content for, there is something called AdSense, right? Where ads can be supplied to your site, right? So you want to create content that is going to create all this relevancy that Google is also interested in sending ads to your site. So even if you're not making money off of your audience, but at least you're getting a check from Google, right? So you want to do it.
Could you repeat that? Yeah, the AdSense.
What are the keywords that would attract AdSense?
So you need to. It's better to understand to attract AdSense. You sign up for it. You don't attract it, but it's the keywords and the content, the structured content that you create. It needs to be structured to where it answers, right, the customer's pain, the customer's questions and comments, and also throughout your site, throughout your blog, they interlink each other internally, right? Before you get links coming in from outside, right? So as they lead from one, okay, let's say you blogged about like oil change, right? And then you blog about some parts, right? So you find a way those can link into each other. At the end of the day, as you move a customer like that, right? In Google's eyes, every link is given credit, and also the more ads they send to you, because now they see customers spend more time on your site, and also you're answering a lot of questions, and now they can also send auto park ads to your site, so at least you're not only making money from your audience, also you're making money every time a person clicks an ad that Google sends to your site. So when they click on that ad and go through, you get a check for that.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So those are two ways you can monetize your site.
So I'll just add to this. There is value in doing this, and what he just said is, if you're creating this content and you're putting on your website, not only are you helping your business, but if you get a lot of eyeballs looking at that content, you could have advertisements of complementary related services through a service called AdSenders, which will give you money for doing this. So let's say you make a video on how to change your oil in your car. You probably don't recommend it, but you could show people how it's done. Well, before the video is played, Google can play a 15-second ad on big manufacturer. Buy this oil instead of that oil.
Yeah.
And that, even though you did it to support your business, it actually starts to give you ad revenue in return. So a lot of creators of content are able to generate side incomes from apart from their core business. So it can generate income for you if you're a content creator that other people are reading. So Dennis happens to be one of them. If you search for Dennis Houston SEO.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Sure.
As just an example I'll give you, right? So you're writing a PowerPoint, right? And you want to add notes to your slides, right? As you present it. This is from Google, but this doesn't answer all of my questions. And I scrolled all the way down, I couldn't find any answer until I think I found one somewhere. No, this is not. Only one that I found.
That wasn't from Google.com?
Yeah.
Oh, the first one. Better Cloud.
Yeah, these are not. They didn't answer my question.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how all of this is trying to answer the question for you, right? This is what you try. This is how you try to create content from that, because now this person knows that Google. This is Google. They know that people are actually looking for all of these. Right? So.
Dennis, do this. Let's give the audience a real live example. If you go to YouTube.com really quick and go to Innovation Lab, HCC Innovation Lab. You may realize this little guy is sitting here, right? This little gadget. We're actually creating content to educate, but if enough eyeballs are watching, then we could generate ad revenue for the school, right? By educating. So HCC Innovation Lab, sorry, the word HCC. So not only are we fulfilling our mission of educating the community, but now we're utilizing, so if you go to live now, that's Dennis talking, I'll even wave, it's happening. Now, this will sit there for years, right? There's Dennis, right? But the point is, tomorrow, if we wanted to enable ads on this content to generate a side income for the student club, we can't, because this was generated. And we've done probably 60 to 70 of these workshops. So not only are we trying to spread good words, but we're also building our own brand, our own culture, our own sort of follower base, right? We have people following the page and etc. And somebody even asked a question, base something. Say something. Oh, okay. It didn't ask a question. But you get the idea. So if we can turn that off so it's not repeating what I'm saying. But the idea here is that through AdSense, you could do your core services but still generate a second revenue stream, because you're creating content that people are looking at. You got to think about, back in the day, if you wanted to get in front of massive amount of people, you have to buy the Super Bowl ad, right? The 15-second, the $3 million. Or, if you were ready to go to prison for a month, you could streak in the game, in the middle of the game, right? That was still marketing, right? But then there were consequences, right? That you do your math and decide if it was worth it or not. But that could be social media, right? It's that big, quick awareness. Or you could go this route and you actually build a business through SEO, which is not the quick fix. But once it's there for years. And because it's there for years, you can generate a second income for it. Now that wasn't our goal today to explain creating second income, but it was our goal to make sure you're found by your new customers. Right? Alright, Q, I think we have just 10 minutes or so. How do you, 15 minutes. Do we have any specific questions for,
Yeah,
go ahead, ma'am.
about the content legal aspects of that, you know, how do you safeguard your content, and what are the, do you have certain site where it give you general terms and conditions or copyright? Because content is all over. How do you know that this is, how do you protect your content from being,
Pirated?
yeah, manipulated or
Well, there's a-
somebody using it?
What's your expectation of privacy when you put it out there on the internet?
So what we have seen, if you, let's say you write a blog, right? And somebody grabs that blog and doesn't change anything and throws it on their blog, right?
Yes.
You report it to Google and that site is penalized. And then let's say you have a content writer who's writing content for you, right? And they do the same and they deliver content to you, but actually they wrote an article which they stole from somewhere, right? You go to Copy Escape, and when you click hit, it's going to show you every place where that content has been shown before. Copy Escape.
Copyscape?
Yeah.
Yeah, SCAPE. And, you know, any bad intention doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
So though I said, you know, we could make money, we're still educational, you know, we're not going to. So if we were to, somebody would complain and they'd say, hey, there's an issue here, right? You guys are making money off of us, right? And then say, guys, no, it's educational purpose. The intent is good, it's okay, except, you know, you don't want to copy other people. I mean, that's plagiarism. We would, you know, in school be penalized. Even in the real world, that can hurt your brand big time.
Yes.
Because, you know.
At least give them credit and put them in courts and
You could source it.
hyperlink it, you know, or for most brands that I've seen, well, not the big brands, but let's say you want her to you want to write something in her industry, right? You could ask her to come and be your guest blogger, but in return, she links back to herself. It's kind of way she pays back, you know, because that link gives her credit. But she writes the blog for you too, you know. So that's how that's how we do it.
And I think it's important for us to do that locally, because look, we're competing the New Yorks and the San Franciscos of the world.
Right.
They're doing this in turn. They're giving each other business, and then they're going out and trying to attract business from you know. There's no point. I never see the benefit of hiring a New York company to rebrand a website when your customers are local, your talent's local. Why not, right? So to his point, you know, give the source the credit because it's going to help you in the long run, both of you in the long run.
How do you know when your content is hijacked like that?
Okay, so sometimes you can create, you can add, I don't know what software that I can give you right now that is free, but you can add a cookie to your content, and everywhere everywhere it's posted or it's uploaded, it will show up. It will alert you.
How do you add a cookie? Because you've mentioned many times in different places and ways you want to add cookies.
Yeah, so that is mainly done by your web designer.
Is it the HTML kind of thing?
Yeah.
So where do we find these? I mean, those kind of are very vague, those I go hard for my time answer.
So,
So these are tracking technologies that you get to use, and you can find some from different organizations. I use the ones that I use Bitly, right? And
Bigly?
Bitly.
Bitly,
BIT.ly.
Yeah.
So any links
And
you create.
also I've used Screaming Frog and their cookies
Screaming
have,
Frog?
yeah, and theirs have helped me a lot.
There's also technology that would prevent one from downloading
Right.
or copying text or images, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you talk about that?
I'm not sure.
So sometimes when they go to a site, correct, if you want to copy the text, you cannot copy it.
Oh, you mean turning it into a script? Is that what?
Right, if you want to lift the script, you cannot do that, right? If you want to download a picture, there's that function is
Yeah.
disabled
That's the web designer that
by
controls
design,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a code, like one line of code you can add to your website, and that protects your content from copying. I mean, people when they like text, they will not be able to copy and paste, but they can still rewrite it again.
Yeah, you can do that.
So some techniques you can quickly apply, if it's video content or image content, you can add a watermark, right, on your stuff.
Yeah.
That's one way you could protect it. If it's paragraph content, you could have either yourself enable, if it's WordPress you're using, WordPress has a plugin which allows you to prevent anyone from right-clicking on the website, which enables it to go to its code and take actual, raw code that's been worked on, or for them to highlight it and copy it, and when that happens, it automatically adds the source. Whenever a command like Control-C is pressed, if you ever do that on dictionary.com for anything, when you paste whatever you selected, it always adds an extra anchor or hanger text. So there are a lot of techniques. It may be too technical to go through each one, but that's the area you would start looking at, is how do you protect it. If you were creating music, that's a different type of content that you need to protect. And even music have, if you upload music on YouTube that you don't own, it gets detected by the YouTube stuff, and they'll actually tell you that you can't play this video with that audio in it because it's copyrighted material. So that would lead you into copywriting and trademarking and IPing your stuff before you make that available publicly.
You said it's, sorry, content fraud?
Screaming Frog.
Screaming Frog. I don't know where they come up with these names. It sounds brutal. I don't want to be on.
I want to add one more thing about copywriting, and I mean with the text, and especially like text, whatever, the people who are really willing to steal your content, they will steal it.
They'll
Whatever
steal it,
you
yeah.
will add,
They can take a photo of
they
it.
will do it.
Right.
And there are a lot of tools, like take a screenshot and turn the screenshot to text. I would say if they copy it, that means your content is valuable. And seriously, this is what they
That's
did.
good.
It's a
It's
form
good
of flattery,
content.
I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
copying
it's
is a form of flattery.
So-
Big ones like CNN, whatever, takes part of this and then uses, we can't even sue them, and
Yeah, I mean-
it's yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think with the Google, I'm not sure how Google is dealing with this, but recently I was reading Google is stop penalizing the website, or maybe they penalize it, I'm not sure. But they give the priority to the one who publish the blog first, and then the second one who publishes second. So even if a CNN copied it from you, I think yes, time factor. If CNN copied from you, they will be a second link and you will be the first.
The other thing you can do is you can contact CNN directly and say, hey, I'm ready to give you content, you want them to put your website on there. Cause they should be,
And
they
it's
should say
mentioned.
source.
Or maybe they will know who, like, they will figure out that the writer or the one they hired is like doing plagiarism. So
And they can get fired for that, that's a general
They
code of
will do
ethics.
these things, but the big ones, definitely the middle one, you know,
But the
not that
copy,
big
don't
one,
worry.
will copy a lot.
Alright, so,
Now, coming
I don't
to-
wanna stop this, it's almost, but if we can just get a round of applause for Dennis. There are snacks and drinks, we wanna also make this available, which, if you wanted a transcript that said, you know, that you attended this, workshop by him, it's a college, continuing education, it's, you know, you just put your information, we submit it to the school, and if you ever needed it for, I don't know, a bank loan to say that you've got some skills in this, or you wanted to get professional development, or you just wanna be in our system that you were here, you know, maybe you need it in trial another day. The school will validate that you were here if you fill that out.
Yeah, I actually would like to encourage everybody to do so.
Okay.
So that we can, you can be notified
This
of
is a
the
different
future
topic.
offerings that we have.
This is SEO, the last one was WordPress. Yeah, and it's a 101 introductory kind of, right?
How often are these about the sessions often?
So,
This is
the next session.
very serious.
So, with the association, this was the second workshop. For the public that we do, the bigger one, that's on our 60th workshop. And it's been going for close to a year and a half now. Eventbrite. Eventbrite, when you search for HCC Opportunity Workshops, the next sets of workshops are going to be published starting February. So we're gonna wrap up our semester.
I just asked you, what was that widget that you mentioned that could do the tracking on Google, like when your name was mentioned and how many people shared or liked it?
The WordPress widget will allow you to see.
Like you said that how, this one widget on social media show how many times your thing was shared and stuff like that. I asked you to one like that on Google and you said yes, so wait till the end and I'll tell you which one.
Right? So in other words, when you send out.
And then date of birth is okay.
Maybe you put it on the site, before you put it on the other side, right? Where it shows up first is what month.
So how would I know that?
So if it showed up on if it showed up on
two ways. Actually, really one way. We have a career services director, Dr. Caroline Davis. Yes, of course. And then what we do is we make that internship available to all students applying for that program. And then
Y'all have that application or do you have to create it or how does that work?
should go on your website
so
first
we have
before
templates.
you send
You
it
would
to other
customize it
places.
with your company name,
So
etc.
that's why you need this
And then
plugin. So this
you would
plugin
say
does it for
paid,
you.
non-paid, etc.
You
You
put it
make
on
all
your
that
website,
information
and
available.
this plugin does
Start
it,
date
plug onto your website,
and date.
send it.
And then Dr. Davis,
syndicates it.
So
her
website
team
and blog is
would
the
source
same.
for
Yeah, website and
students.
blogger.
The other way
And that's,
is similar, except you already know the student and you're trying to, just make sure that it's covered. Okay, yeah, so then, career services at HCC, in the Southwest region is Dr. Caroline Davis. I'm happy to provide,
I would love that.
yeah, in fact, you logged out or did you get?
I think they just out.
Zen, could you give Dr. Davis's, information, or is it career services / career services, what link?
Virtual career?
I know it's VCC something, if we can provide that,
Career services.
yeah, for Dr. Davis, or,
Oh, that's right, yes.
because that's how you would get our interns. And I think it's,
It's a career, no, it's a career
yeah.
IT service.
Everybody else is logged out for some reason. So let's make sure.
Let me give you my.
No rush, unless they take us out, we can be
The
here.
doctor's in. You want these back?
Yes, it should go to
Thank
them.
you.
Hey, another thing I was gonna say is the Bel Air Business Association
Very
has
impressive.
I'd like to talk to you
It's,
about some more.
loyal to local.
Do you have a card or
Love it.
how do I want to reach
And
you?
staying loyal to local is their thing they're trying to push, starting the Small Business Saturday, which is the Saturday after Black Friday. And, I would say, start pushing that, because I think that's really important to support each other, kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
it's,
Let's find out more about that.
And also showing the public that when you stay local, your tax dollars go towards your schools, your fire
Absolutely.
department, your parks, the thing right in your community versus going who knows where.
and there's
When you
no
buy
fake
online.
commodity, and there's no fake commodity.
No, we're authentic, we're the real deal,
Yes.
with all of our idiosyncrasies.
So this is https:/support services.
So you put HCCS Career Services, that's what I'm saying.
We'll fill out the
Okay,
rest
yeah.
of the,
Yeah,
fill the
this is
book.
okay.
Okay, okay, and then where do you go from there?
What's the
From there, from the career placement, you do that, and then.
No problem, sir. I encourage you to take Dennis's information, take a picture, and then help promote what he does. He does it well.
Here, use this thing.
Thank you very much.
Here, one of those.
So just heads up, Dennis's information is on the screen. If you wanted to ask him questions or refer him, please do.
Dr. Davis.
I think he did a great job. It's a big topic, but I think he delivered sizable bites.
Within the framework of.
So please, take his info and help him.
It's really the corporation.
Or her email.
Is that gonna help, like, for workshops? Like, if you're on?